Hello, everyone, and many thanks for your attention for joining this stream. Today is 18th of May. Now it's 6 o'clock in the evening, Moscow time, and this is first time, dear friends, when I'm streaming simultaneously on YouTube and Rumble channels. I hope this will work out well so that both channels and communities, most importantly on both channels, will benefit from this change. Later on, I will make some announcements in regards to programming, and there are going to be some significant changes, and I really hope that will also be useful for further development of this project. But first, of course, I will share with you news segment, latest reports on some important developments. And after that, community chat. It's a Sunday. I hope you have a great day. And we will have a community chat. I will monitor your questions, your comments in the chat. I can see simultaneously comments on both platforms, on YouTube and Rumble, because I'm streaming with a StreamYard. Rare occasion when I'm using this platform for streaming, and therefore, dear friends, sorry if at some moments I'm going to be a little confused there because I'm not familiar with this platform yet. But couple of streams and I will manage this. And that's been said, let's say this is a testing phase of this program, simultaneous live streams on two platforms, and hopefully it will work out. And now let's go through some news first, and well, let's do it this way. And dear friends, I will start with this report. Many of you, of course, are informed that there was inauguration of a new pope in the Vatican today, Leo 14th, and he is officially is leading now Catholic Church, Vatican. And of course, political leaders, public figures, for religious leaders from all over the world were gathering in Vatican. Congratulations to Catholic Christians all over the world, of course. And well, among these guests, inauguration, you guess who was also? Zelensky. Zelensky, by the way, he met with Leo 14th. I wouldn't be surprised if he was asking for money and maybe even weapons, I don't know. But after meeting the Pope, he also had a short meeting, according to Ukrainian media, with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and the U.S. head of U.S. State Department, Marco Rubio. And topic of discussion was, at least one of the topics of discussion was recent Istanbul negotiations between Ukrainian and Russian delegations. Zelensky once again asked for support, assistance, for more sanctions on Russia, and I guess for more weapons and money. I don't know if Rubio or J.D. Vance will make a comment on that, but we will find out. Anyways, let's continue with some more news. And we have RIA Novosti's report that Russian Defense Ministry confirmed liberation of Bogatyr settlement in the DPR. Let me show you on the map. And I really hope internet will work okay and will manage to pull off this simultaneous stream onto platforms. And well, let me show you Bogatyr, by the way, but first I have to find it. Sorry for this. If there is no icons, by the way, it is becoming a struggle sometime, but okay, this is it. This is Bogatyr settlement, which is completely under Russian control. I reported about progress of the Russian armed forces in this direction, and now we have official confirmation from Russian Defense ministry that this settlement is under Russian control. On this sector, which is a southern-western part or flank of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration, as you can see, dear friends, there is a 3 settlements left, 4 settlements, let's say, Alexeyevka, no, 3 settlements, Alexeyevka, Zelený Kut, and Novoukrainka, and after that, there is a Dnipropetrovsk region. So Russian troops are getting closer to border with Dnipropetrovsk region on this sector also, but this is not all. According to reports, Russian armed forces also established control over the Nova Poltavka settlement, which is on the also Pokrovsk direction, which is also on the Pokrovsk direction, northern eastern sector on the Pokrovsk direction. So significant progress of the Russian armed forces, dear friends. Every single day we are receiving more and more information about liberation of additional territories. Let's go through some other news, and we have this report from TASS News Agency, which is also based on Russian Defense Ministry's update that Ukrainian armed forces lost about 1,245 military personnel in a special military operation zone in one day during the previous 24 hours. Basically, significant losses, and this is daily occurrence on the line of contact, and one may even argue that for last several weeks, due to relative decrease on intensity of the fighting in number of directions, losses on part of Kyiv regime has decreased also, because we remember during their occupation of some parts of Kursk region, Ukrainian occupation, casualty numbers all along the front line was around 2,000, 2,500 on daily basis. Now, lately, this is average numbers that Russian Defense Ministry is sharing with public. Still, obviously, huge losses on part of Kyiv regime. And whenever I see these kind of reports, I wonder from where Trump, president of US, is taking his numbers about 5,000 casualties every week. Clearly, number of losses on part of Kyiv regime's forces are at least twice of that, or 3 times more. But anyways, this is the latest report of Russian Defense Ministry on previous 24 hours. Also, Vzгляд newspaper is reporting that US has announced Russia's intention to achieve Ukraine's complete capitulation. Interesting. This is from American think tank, by the way. So Russia continues to seek Ukraine's complete capitulation during their conflict, according to analysts at the Institute for the Study of War. Experts note that Moscow's territorial demands remain unhinged and are not considered a bargaining chip, but a mandatory condition for ending the conflict. Analysts also emphasize that Russia is winning the battle of attrition thanks to its continuous creeping offensive, which makes it difficult for Ukraine to conduct successful counteroffensive operations. And well, I don't know about experts or analysts of Institute for Study of War, but I think no one in our community is really surprised that Russia is demanding withdrawal of Kyiv regime's forces from new Russian regions, Kherson, Zaporozhye, DPR, and LPR. This was stated by Russian president long ago, that to reach a point when ceasefire is a possibility, Kyiv regime's forces have to be pulled out of Russian territories first, right? And therefore, no one should be surprised that, yes, Russia is demanding withdrawal of Ukrainian forces. And in the Western public domain, in the Western media, by the way, a new narrative being pushed now over the public that since when one side is demanding from other side to withdraw its forces from territories that they still hold, well, I will remind those people, so-called experts and commentators in the West, that during the First World War, for example, I mean, one of the biggest examples we can take, Germany, after basically acknowledging that they lost the war, German forces withdraw from huge areas, that they were holding and were able to hold on to some time. But leadership of German's military realized that it will just add more casualties, but eventually, uh, coalition forces will take control over those areas anyways, and that's why Germany agreed to withdraw from those territories. So this is nothing unique, that Russia is demanding Kiev region's forces to be withdrawn from a number of areas, because it's a Russia that winning, right? Not Kiev regime, not its NATO backers. It's Russia that is winning and improving its positions literally on daily basis. And when it comes to Russia wants Kiev regime to capitulate, I think that's exactly what is going to happen eventually, because in my personal opinion, globalists and European regimes that are controlled by globalists, first of all in UK, France, Germany, and others, they are not yet ready to acknowledge defeat, and therefore they will try to push further and further escalation as long as there is anybody left in Kiev-controlled territory that can be forcefully mobilized and thrown into trenches. So therefore, unfortunately, this conflict will continue for time being, and eventually, due to this continuation, eventually, Russia will achieve its goals, all the goals, and Kiev regime will simply capitulate. They already have no options, but give it another several months, and it will become clear for everybody that Kiev regime has no other options but to capitulate. So in this regard, the Institute for Study of War is correct. Conflict is moving in that direction. RT is also reporting that President of Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, outlines once again results Moscow 6 in Ukraine. So Russia is seeking to achieve a lasting and sustainable peace by eliminating the root causes of the Ukraine conflict. President Vladimir Putin has stated in an extract of an interview released by Russia 1 TV on Sunday. In a clip posted by journalist Pavel Zarubin, and we all know, dear friends, that Putin on regular basis gives interviews to Pavel Zarubin. Putin stated during this interview that Russia has enough strength and resources to bring what was started in 2022 to its logical conclusion, where accomplishing Moscow's key goals. Russia wants to eliminate the causes that cause this crisis, create conditions for long-term sustainable peace, and ensure the security of the Russian state and the interests of our people in those territories that we always talk about, he added. So yet again, one may argue that this statement of Russian president is a sort of indicator that yes, Russia is moving towards capitulation of Kiev regime, and the longer this conflict continues, capitulation of Kiev regime will be more and more inevitable. It is what it is. Also, dear friends, RT is reporting that official representative of Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, gave some advice to Kiev regime. So Kiev would have a better chance of resolving the conflict with Russia if it resists malignant NATO influence that impedes peace efforts. Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said on Sunday. Zakharova responded to remarks by Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiga about the results of the Istanbul meeting, which marked the first direct negotiations between Kiev and Moscow since 2022. The talks resulted in Russia. Ukraine agreed to a major prisoner swap. 1,000 POWs will be released by each side. And we have a quote from Maria Zakharova. If we put aside all the Russian... this is from Sybiga, sorry, dear friends. Sybiga after these talks made this crazy statement. If we put aside all the Russian nonsense, pseudo-historical statements, provocations, and so on, the bottom line is this: we managed to agree on the return of 1,000 of our people. These are 1,000 happy families. Even for this reason alone, all this made sense. He was addressing negotiations. And then Zakharova responded, all this, in quotes, Zakharova said, referring to the talks was proposed by Russia, by its president, and implemented by delegation authorized by the head of state, which Zelensky mocked for a day, which is also true. She also noted that if all the insults are put aside, Sibiger essentially acknowledged that the Russian propositions have a certain sense. The main thing is that the citizens of Ukraine should not allow the NATO advisors to let them off their true path of their settlement into the ravine of other people's interests again, Zakharova warned. And well, this is a good advice. Obviously, it would be better for Ukraine if Kiev would listen to common sense, not to globalists and globalist control regimes in Europe nowadays. But it's not happening. By the way, we all know that Zelensky is just a puppet. His entire Kiev regime is made up of puppets. By the way, of the West, of the globalists, and therefore they will do whatever they are told to do. So if globalists are demanding this conflict to be prolonged, that's what they're gonna do. Until globalists themselves will realize that they have lost, and longer they will prolong this conflict, weaker and weaker their positions will become. Once they will realize that, we will see through the escalation. But unfortunately, still the escalation still far away in my understanding. Vzгляд newspaper is also reporting that UK and the EU are about to announce new defense union. This was originally reported by New York Times. So British and EU leaders plan to pledge a historic defense and energy cooperation at the London summit aimed at declining US role, meeting to discuss a new era of cooperation between UK and the European Union will take place in London on Monday. Tomorrow, New York Times reports a key defense and security agreements aimed at the boosting Europe's military capabilities as the United States involvement shrinks is expected to be signed. EU members and UK are in NATO, right? So they are already military allies, but if they want to build up something new, something kind of alternative to the NATO, or maybe even to move closer to European army, idea that is time to time for decades now being discussed in Europe, in Western Europe, then okay. I mean, it's their decision. But as far as I understand, British militaries are not really happy to be under command of European militaries, and that was one of the reasons why Brexit was so popular. Not just economical issues and the dominance of the Brussels, but also many people in UK were not happy that potentially this European army might be built and British military personnel can end up being under command of their European counterparts. Let's see what is going to happen, but okay, interesting news. RT is also reporting that, according to Eurasia Observatory, weapons from Ukraine will flood the Europe, which is definitely going to happen and already happening, by the way. Already happening. Crimes in Europe are skyrocketing, crimes with the involvement of weapons, right? And and situation gonna deteriorate because it's not just weapons, all sorts of weapons, but also once this conflict will end eventually, you think where this hardliner neo-Nazi is gonna run from prosecution. from Kiev controlled territory. They're going to run into Europe mainly, and eventually they will end up in all sorts of criminal organizations. But anyways, let's go through this news. A massive influx of weapons from Ukraine will hit Europe's black markets after the conflict with Russia is over, according to a new report by the Eurasia Observatory, which tracks their conflicts' long-term impact on organized crimes. Western-supplied weapons and thousands of battle-hardened Ukrainian veterans are expected to fuel wave of crime, arms trafficking, and their instability across the continent, as talks between Moscow and Kiev to resolve the conflict rise. Hopes for ceasefire, their document warns. Stockpiles of weapons, including heavy arms, are being amassed throughout Ukraine, the report said. Should their fighting stop, martial law in Ukraine will presumably be lifted, reducing the resources and powers of their state to police the civilian sphere and opening up their field for organized crime to operate more freely. And eventually, obviously, huge volume of huge amount of weapons and battle hardened veterans, let's say, in reality mostly neo-Nazis, by the way, they're gonna end up in Europe, in the collective West countries in general, and well, we all understand what is going to happen next. But yet again, this process has already begun. It will just accelerate significantly after conflict will end, and it will end eventually, isn't it? Meanwhile, their friends, also interesting reporter here in Russia, in Russian media, definitely pay attention to statement of Pavel Durov, founder of Telegram, when he wrote that one of the European countries demanded to introduce censorship in a Telegram in Romania, and when he posted on Telegram, he used the baguette smile or baguette emoji, which indicates that most likely it was a French leadership contacted Durov and basically demanded censorship on opposition figures in Romania and on opposition channels. And allegedly he said no to this demand. So the Western European government has asked Telegram to silence conservatives in Romania in the elections. Their Messenger's founder, Pavel Durov, said on his Telegram channel, we have quote here, Western European government, guess which one, and he put baguette emoji, has asked Telegram to silence conservatives in Romania ahead of today's presidential elections. I have categorically refused, he wrote. And I don't know if you take his statement on face value. I guess we will receive some information from Romania itself if conservative or channels of or pages of traditionalist citizens have been suppressed somehow. But when it comes to elections itself, we don't yet have results. Election poll stations will be closed at 9 o'clock local time, I believe, 9 or 10, 9, I guess. And of course, I will publish on my Telegram and Twitter X page and in next updates what is going to be results. But maybe opposition candidate Simon will win. Today, police escorted him, the candidate for the presidency of Romania, the leader of Nationalist Party Alliance for the Unification of Romanians, George Simeon, and the favorite of the elections cancelled last year, Colin Georgescu, from a polling station in Mogosoaia, suburb of Bucharest. Politicians try to make a statement to the press after they vote, but police demand that they leave their premises. At least they were not detained, which is already some sort of a progress if you take in account how Bucharest this globalist puppet regime in Romania was acting during and after first presidential elections that was cancelled some 6 months ago. And yet again, I mean, there is expectations that Simeon is going to win these elections with huge margin, and that's going to be a big issue. That's going to be a big issue potentially for Brussels in many ways. Let's see. And same time, dear friends, the presidential elections are taking place in Poland. Media is barely paying any attention to it, but it is also important, I guess. So Poland has opened polling stations for voting in the presidential election. Polish television channel TVP Info reported on Sunday more than 29 million Polish citizens have the right to cast their votes for one of the 13 candidates running in the presidential elections at excuse me, 32,000 polling stations across the country. Due to time difference, the voting for Polish nationals took place in the United States day before. In Poland, polling stations will close at 9 p.m. local time, 1900 GMT, and exit poll results are likely to be followed later. The State Election Commission may announce their final election results within 48 hours after the closure of their polling stations. So I was not really paying much attention to presidential, to runoff to these presidential elections. I don't even know who candidates are. Neither I care, by the way. I'm not going to lie. Because I don't think anything is going to change, no matter who is the president there. We all understand system in Poland is built in such a way that if you are not an extreme Russophobe, you have no chances to be in this system and to reach any more or less significant position in the political hierarchy. So therefore, no matter who is going to win presidential elections, unfortunately, nothing will change in the relationships between Moscow and Warsaw. And of course, I'm being Russian citizen, interesting, first of all, in the relationships between two countries. I would like to see improvement in these relationships, but seems like this improvement is not even on the horizon. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. And meanwhile, dear friends, we have this report from RIA Novosti that Israel launches a large-scale ground operation in Gaza. Netanyahu and his regime is not stopping, by the way. They are constantly escalating, and if not, they are looking for ways to escalate because they want this constant turmoil, because eventually, of course, as they already do, they're going to further intensify blaming Iran for everything, literally, to impose additional pressure on the White House so that at some point Israel, Washington, or Israel, US, and a number of their allies will go ahead with the war against Iran. I'm afraid this war is seems right now, to me at least, absolutely inevitable. US is clearly on the path towards this war, which is tragic, but that's how I see big picture. Maybe things will change, I don't know, but right now it is clear to me that US is on the trajectory towards the war with Iran. But when it comes to this particular report, the Israel Defense Force have launched a large-scale ground operation in the Gaza Strip. The country's armed forces press service reported over the past day IDF forces under the command of Southern Command, including both conscripts and reservists, have launched a large-scale ground operation throughout the northern and southern Gaza Strip as a part of Operation Gideon's Chariots, the statement said. Now, fortunately, there are going to be even more destruction and even more casualties among civilians as a result of this. Yet another escalation by Netanyahu's regime. And seems like, as I said many times before, world community is unable to influence the situation and force Netanyahu's regime to basically stop killing the civilians. That's what they do, basically. They are terrorizing civilians and preparing ground for to implement complete ethnic cleansing. That's what is happening, by the way. And at one point, Israeli leadership, this genocidal leadership of Israel, gonna go ahead with their full-scale ethnic cleansing, and they're gonna force locals into Egypt, and from Egypt they might be dispersed then in different countries in the Middle East. After all, this morning in the first update, I reported about information in the U.S. media that, according to which Trump plans to basically relocate, or Trump's administration plans to relocate about 1 million Palestinians into Libya, by the way. I mean, Libya? Really? I mean, why Libya? Why not neighboring countries? I don't know. I mean, something crazy is happening there, by the way. I mean, ethnic cleansing on its own is a crime against humanity. And this topic, unfortunately, being openly discussed by leaders of Israel, by leaders of US. Trump himself said, isn't it, that he considers a possibility of removing locals from that area, which is crazy, but it is happening. The Novosti is also reporting that according to Ansar Allah movement, or Houthi rebels, as they are also known worldwide, they launch attacks, long-range strikes on Israeli Ben Gurion airport at least twice. So the Yemeni armed forces, missile forces, carried out military operation and struck a Lod airport, known in Israel as Ben Gurion Airport, located in the occupied Jaffa, Tel Aviv area, with 2 ballistic missiles. One of them is Palestine 2 hypersonic missile. The other is Zulfikar. Yesterday morning, their unmanned systems forces carried out military operation and struck Ben Gurion Airport with their Jaffa drones, also said in this statement of this Ansar Allah movement or Houthi rebels. I did not see any confirmation in the media about strikes on airports, so therefore most likely these weapon systems that Houthis launched were intercepted by Israeli air defense systems. And I will end news segment, dear friends, on this news that Putin, from RT, that Putin, President of Russian Federation, invites Arab leaders to Moscow summit. So Russian President Vladimir Putin has invited the heads of states and governments of Arab League countries to attend the first Russia-Arab summit scheduled for October 15 in Moscow. The Kremlin published the invitation on its official website on Saturday, as Arab leaders gathered in Baghdad to discuss the war in Gaza. So, excuse me, I think this invitation will be accepted, and all the Arab countries, by the way, all the countries in Arab League will send their delegations to attend this summit, and in majority of cases, probably first or leaders of these countries will be presented during this summit, which is a big deal, obviously. Russia has long-standing relationships with Arab countries. Mainly, these relationships are successful, positive. It was not always like that, but mainly Moscow and their capitals in Arab countries were managing to have at least good working relationships. And in some cases, these relationships were on strategical level. And therefore, I think this summit on 15th of October will be very representative and successful. And this is it, dear friends. When it comes to a news segment, now let's go through some chat, through some comments. Community chat is beginning. Hopefully, you'll find news segment interesting. and I can see comments on both platforms, on YouTube and Rumble. And dear friends, before I go through chat, let me make several announcements. Well, first of all, from tomorrow, dear friends, first update. I will have two updates on a day. If there is no technical issues or some other problems, then I will have two updates from Monday to Friday. At 11 o'clock Moscow time, there will be first update, which is going to be live stream. And after live stream, I will make short videos from a news segment, and I will publish those short videos on both platforms, YouTube and Rumble. And live stream is going to be on both platforms too, by the way, on YouTube and Rumble simultaneously, as it is today. And that's why I said in the beginning that this is a sort of a test program, test launch of this idea. And at 7 o'clock in the evening, I will have a second news update, evening news update, which is going to be also live stream on both platforms. And this way, I think I will manage to be, to bring to our community as much news on some major development as possible. And quite often there is some developments, isn't it? That I might report in the morning, but then some additional news is coming about it, and I'm reporting about it next day, usually, or on in a second update on my Patreon and Boosty pages. But with this new approach, two live streams, one in the morning, one in the evening, I think I will cover majority of the important news that Russian media and public is paying attention to. So that's one change. Also, dear friends, when it comes to Patreon and Boosty, I will have extra content there anyways. Recently, last week, me and my wife launched a new program, Question Time. And I think this program and some other programs that I have on these platforms will work well enough so that as my thank, by the way, for members of community on Patreon and Boosty for their support, I will constantly have this extra content that are exclusive for these platforms, right? And also what I want to say, dear friends, is that today I created a page on coffee. That's a platform for support of creators. It's like a Buy Me Coffee, by the way. Actually, older platform. Coffee was created much earlier than Buy Me Coffee. If Buy Me Coffee is a US platform, US-based platform, then Coffee is a British-based platform. But they have similar features, by the way. You can sort of buy me coffee through this platform, and that will be a great support, of course, to my work and this project. And under this video, under every video, basically, and under my posts on Telegram, I will put link to this coffee platform also. So members of our community will have a more choice, let's say. They can use Coffee to support. They can use Boosty, which is also easy platform to use, by the way. And obviously, I always have a link to my Patreon and also PayPal platform, which is also a world famous payment system. So that's another announcement. Also, dear friends, when it comes to live streams, this morning news live stream and evening news live stream, after news segment, if there will be any questions or comments that I will receive through with donation, let's say, through Coffee platform or PayPal, or Rand, by the way, during the live stream on Rumble, because my channel is monetized on Rumble, you can use a super chat. It's called Rand on Rumble. And if I see anything there, of course, I will react on it. So therefore, after news segment, every day, I may answer to questions from, or I may comment on the questions or the comments that I will receive through these platforms, PayPal, Boosty, Patreon, by the way, Patreon members can send me inner direct messages, by the way, question also, and on Rumble, right? So hopefully this will help me to generate some additional income so that I be able to be focused on this project. As you know, dear friends, I was planning to find a job, day job, and my family members were opposing this idea. They were saying that, you know what, they see how happy I am, by the way, while working in this field, and they were opposing me. And my wife is telling me that, you know what, give it a shot for another month, maybe things will improve. Okay, I'm gonna try it, by the way. I'm gonna try and be as informative as I can. And as you can see, I'm making some changes in the programming. Hopefully it will work out. Hopefully it will work out, and I will have enough income to be focused on this project. And well, what else I wanted to announce, by the way? That's about it, I guess. And now let's go through some questions. And Nikos on YouTube, by the way, as always, is first to ask a question. So Nikos is asking, I guess my question is your thoughts on Simeon, Romanian opposition candidate in presidential elections. I understand Romania and Poland's plight in the Soviet times, but still, if he had to choose Simeon, he would choose the EU. I guess you're talking about Romanians, but as far as I understand, Simeon is a Eurosceptic. I might be wrong on that. Friends of ours from Romania can correct me on that, but as far as I know, Simeon is a Eurosceptic and Romania first type of politician, as Georgescu was and still is, right? So that's the one thing. I don't think if you are supporting Simeon, you are supporting EU. When it comes to my thoughts about this candidacy, well, it's up to Romanians, by the way. If I don't think relationships between Moscow and Bucharest will improve anytime soon, no matter who is in power there, because Brussels will still have huge influence, isn't it? And the globalists. So therefore, I don't expect significant improvement in relationships, unfortunately, at least for now, between Russia and Romania. And therefore, I don't have a strong opinion on this personality. If he makes globalists go crazy as they are, then I guess for Romanian people, something good may come out of his presidency. I don't know, but unfortunately, I have no reasons to believe that relationships between Russia and Romania are going to improve big time under his presidency if he is allowed to become one. Right? This is my answer. Let's go through some. Dear friends, if you today is going to be like I don't know if I'll be able to maintain community chat because 5 days, 2 streams in the morning and in the evening. It is tiring, by the way. It is quite stressful, and therefore I don't know if I'll be able to make another stream on Sundays like I do now, community chat. I try, but anyways, from Monday to Friday, I will react on the comments, as I already said, on the comments or the questions that I received through with donation to this project. But today is a traditional community chat, so I will monitor chat, and if you have a question or comment that you want to be highlighted, please put either capital letter before question or enter question with capital letters so that I would not miss it. Michael Kennedy is commenting. Oh, I should read it before. Yes, that's right. By the way, if you can put capital Q, thank you, Michael, for help. Uh, for now, I see no questions, dear friends. Uh, John is commenting, John Dickinson, that YouTube is like 7 seconds ahead, I guess, of Rumble in a stream. I think this is because, I don't know, StreamYard wrote at some point today that Rumble is 10 seconds behind in a stream. I cannot influence this stuff, dear friends. So, I mean, it is what it is. At least on both platforms, stream is on. Nikos is asking also, Scott Horton, who wrote their book Provoked, has said that, I mean, let me highlight the question itself. So Scott Norton, who wrote the book Provoked, has said that by absorbing the pro-Russian population, Putin fell into the trap of having a permanent extreme nationalists in Ukraine, I guess. Your thoughts? Well, I mean, unfortunately, issue with the ultra-radical nationalism in Ukraine was you know, this was an issue, by the way, long before even Putin was born, right? I remind you, dear friends, that political Ukrainianism, this idea, is originally generated by British aristocracy, right? British royal family. Then this idea was adopted by German leadership. And Bismarck himself, I believe, said at one point that if you want to weaken Russia, you should support this idea of political Ukrainianism and put this idea into minds of people in Ukraine regions. I remind you, dear friends, that this word Ukraine, this name of this former Soviet republic, comes from a Polish name for outskirt of Polish-controlled territory, right? It was Ukraina. Ukraina literally means outskirt in Polish and in Russian, by the way, right? Both languages are Slavic languages, so Ukraina means outskirt. And initially, British royal family see potential there to attack Russia by creating this political Ukrainianism, and then German leadership used this idea to put in the minds of people that were living on Ukraine, on outskirts of Poland at the time, that they are not Polish, not Hungarians, not Slovakians, not Russians. No, they are Ukrainians. And this was happening, as I said, by the way. This creation of this Ukrainian nationalism, it takes its roots, I mean, long before, as I said, Putin even was born, right? And then we all know that during the Second World War, by the way, I mean, in Western Ukraine, Nazi Germany had a lot of collaborants, right? A lot of collaborants, and the majority of them were Ukrainian nationalists. We all know this, isn't it? I mean, Bandera was their leader, Bandera, Shukhevich, and the rest of them, right? And I said in previous live streams and even updates, I believe, that in Wehrmacht, by the way, most brutal forces were SS forces, right? SS divisions. And even SS officers were horrified by the crimes that these Ukrainian Nazis were committing. So you can imagine how horrifying these elements were for people, right? That they were prosecuting. They killed there about 100,000 Poles, according to some reports, more, tens of thousands Jews, Russians. I mean, they did not care, by the way. If you were not part of their movement of this extreme nationalism, then you were enemy and you've been brutally murdered by these Nazis, right? So I have to disagree. In many ways, Scott Horton is correct. I watch his interviews whenever whenever I see on YouTube or interviews with him. I do watch it. He is a very interesting person to watch, clearly knowledgeable person, 100% by the way. But on this particular pointer, I have to disagree because issue of this extreme nationalism and Nazism, basically, in Ukraine, Nazism, fascism, this issue was generated long before special military operation began. So I have to disagree with Scott on that. But Russia will denazify Ukraine. It will happen, by the way. Russia will denazify Ukraine. And I think Poland, eventually Poland, Hungary, and Romania will join this process because they will reclaim western parts of Ukraine, right? At one point, it's just inevitable. And they will have to deal, they will have no option but to deal with these nationalists that are mainly, by the way, are from Western Ukraine. Let's continue. Yes, I mean, Michael Kennedy is also commenting that nationalist Ukraine was manufactured by many powers of many decades. Absolutely agree. Absolutely. This is true. Nikos is also commenting or asking, I try to figure out if I like Durov. On the one hand, he hates Russian government. On the other, he does not seem to completely dislike his country. What do you think about Durov, Levan? I mean, I don't think he hates Russian government, by the way. I really don't. And I don't think he hates Russia either. There was at some point, because he was a founder of VK, by the way, Vkontakte, which is a Russian, let's say, alternative to Facebook, and much more popular here in Russia in the post-Soviet area than Facebook, right? And because he was a founder of this platform, and because this Western-backed and Western-financed and controlled so-called opposition figures here in Russia were actively using this platform for sabotage, all sorts of sabotage activity. At some point, obviously, Russia had to, Russian government and certain institutions had to pay some attention to Vkontakte, what is going on there, right? As any other government does, by the way, to ensure safety and security of the public. And because one should always keep in mind, by the way, that these Western-backed figures, Western-financed figures here in Russia that were called opposition, they were never popular enough to be real competitors to, let's say, Putin, by the way. They were never even close, right? But those people were sabotaging Russia. They were trying as much as they can to destabilize situation, right? And destabilize social fabric itself. Country, state institutions, social fabric. So they were a threat. I think they were a threat. And majority of them, vast majority of them left Russia, by the way. And when at one point, certain state institutions approached Durov, and I think they wanted to have some sort of control, I guess, or to maybe they demanded blocked. It was a long time ago, by the way. Maybe they demanded to certain channels to be blocked or something. And Durov was very principled that he wants this Vkontakte to be completely independent. And I respect this principal approach. If he stills, on same page on that. Uh, but eventually, certain groups here in Russia come up with their initiative to buy this Vkontakte, right? And they buy it. I don't know who brought it. I can't remember now, but Durov sold it. Durov sold Vkontakte. He left Russia, and he founded Telegram, also successful platform, successful worldwide, right? Much more successful, I will say, than Vkontakte was. That's a story of that. In short, by the way, yet again, I'm not a biographer of the Durov, and I don't really use Vkontakte that much. I have account there, but I'm not active user there. So therefore, I don't know much of that story, but that's what was happening. And even though he had some conflict with their government institutions, I don't think he hates Russian government. I don't think he hates Russia. He just want to be, he's a creative guy, very clever one, with good education, good knowledge. He and his brother, by the way. I mean, Durov is a leading figure, maybe, but all these programs being written by his brother, which is constantly in the shadows, right? Many people don't even know that he has a brother. So, yes, that's my take on him, by the way. I don't have strong opinions about him, but I don't think he is a Russia hater or something. So therefore, I wish all the best to everybody that are not trying to destroy this country. That's all I can say, really. Let's continue. Dear friends, sorry if I missed your question or the comment that you want to highlight. Family members are. What's up? Okay, let's continue. And hi. Is everything working on both platforms? It's okay. Okay. Nidish Kumar is here. Hello, Nidish, and hello, everyone, dear friends. Once again, thank you all for your attention. And Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan, I think Pakistan will definitely provide base for USA against Iran. Mark my words. Pakistan against Iran. It's a possibility. US historically has huge influence over the Pakistan, isn't it? But there is also China there, and China definitely don't want large-scale destabilization in the Middle East, and China definitely don't want war in the Middle East, isn't it? Because that will mean Persian Gulf is shut down. There is no navigation there, and Hormuz Strait, and China will lose access to huge volumes of oil and gas from the region, right? And I think China will use its leverage over Pakistan to make sure that Pakistan would not assist US in attack on Iran. But I don't know. I mean, I have to agree with you that US has huge leverage over the Pakistan historically, right? And many times did use this leverage. So which one will have it all depends which country now has stronger positions in Pakistan, US or China. But whole different story is Afghanistan, by the way. I think there is a possibility that US might use Afghanistan also in some ways against Iran. just recently, if I remember correctly, there were even reports that U.S. is in some sort of talks with their current Afghani leadership about Bagram airfield, right? And even though I did not see any official confirmations about this, but a report, if true, then well, it might be indicator that U.S. basically is. I mean, let's open the map. By the way, U.S. is actually where is that? So let's open this map and take a look at the Middle East. So if these reports are true, then just take a look at the map. U.S. is present, obviously, in Saudi Arabia, Oman, Qatar, Bahrain, in Iraq, by the way, still in Kuwait, right? So all over this part of the Middle East, on Arabian Peninsula, right? U.S. has leverage over the Pakistan. I don't know if U.S. will manage to persuade Pakistan leadership to assist U.S. during the attack on Iran. But Afghanistan is also, I mean, neighbor of Iran, isn't it? So U.S. already has encircled Iran in many ways. Recently, there was a huge favors that was given to Turkish leadership, right? Kurdish Workers' Party laid down arms and declared that they are now only fighting in a political field, no more arms resistance. U.S. president just a couple of days ago met with the new leader of Syria, which is a proxy, basically. Current Damascus regime is a proxy of Turkey, of course. That was a big favor for Ankara. And one should keep in mind that Turkey is also bordering Iran, and also Turkey has a significant influence over the Azerbaijan, which is located on the Caspian Sea. And on this matter, by the way, I was a bit surprised to learn today that Iranian and Azerbaijani forces are conducting military exercises, or gonna start military exercises now, and it will last for a number of days, which is a bit surprise to me, because even though Azerbaijani majority, Azerbaijanis and the vast majority of Iranians are Shiite Muslims, Azerbaijan is a Turkic-speaking country mainly, and has closer ties with Turkey than with Iran. So this information definitely came as a sort of surprise to me, that there is military exercises between Azerbaijan and Iran on the way. But still, I think Turkey has enough influence over the Azerbaijan to use it against Iran if Turkey will agree to assist US. And also, by the way, Armenia, which is also bordering Iran, is under control of US now, right? So Iran is almost encircled basically from all sides. And once under attack, I said in previous updates that their only lifeline, or main lifeline, that Iran will have is going to be through Caspian Sea, and the only countries that really can assist is Russia, first of all, and partially China too, because well, if China has enough leverage over the Kazakhstan, then China can use Kazakhstan as a transit state to supply and support Iran through also Caspian Sea. There is a land bridge potential to support Iran for China, which is Pakistan. If China will manage to persuade Pakistan leaders to stay out of this conflict, or either to assist China in its geopolitical agenda, and also if China has enough leverage over the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. There is a border, isn't it, between Afghanistan and China too, and Tajikistan, by the way, can play big role also. This is only ways that Iran can expect some assistance in this regard. But I mean, in any case, attack on Iran is going to be a huge disaster for region and for entire world, isn't it? It's just too obvious. And I don't think US will succeed in this attack. I don't think US is in a position to even hope to succeed. But yet again, tell this to current leadership there. Anyways, let's go through some more questions and comments. I have to highlight this commenter. Stavros Karagiorgis is commenting, "You are a lucky man, Levan, to be married to such a supportive woman." 100%, 100%. Thank you for your kind words. I know that I am extremely lucky. I know different. Thank you. Also, in their kitchen is commenting, "Not seeing the super chat option, donation option. Dear friend, my channel is not monetized on YouTube, so therefore on YouTube I don't have such a feature. If but if you or other members of our community want to donate, then as I said, under my videos there are options, different platforms that can be used for that, and my channel is monetized on Rumble, and there is a rant feature, which is a super chat basically, and that feature can be used. So hopefully in the future, members of our community will use the rant feature on Rumble more often, and that will be big help, of course, to me to save this project. And also you can become a premium subscriber on Rumble. This is also an option. I see Rumble questions too. I see Rumble comments, but I don't see question. А что я должен увидеть, Аня? Okay. Nidish Kumar is also asking, Levan, does Russia or China have assets in Libya to save it from destruction again? I don't know about China, but Russia definitely has some interests in Libya and also some assets. I believe units of Wagner PMC are operating in Libya and basically helping Benghazi government, not Tripoli government, but Benghazi government, and by the way, Libya is an oil-rich country, isn't it? And all these ports, by the way, from where export of energy is happening, is located in Benghazi. So Russia definitely has some assets in Libya. I don't know about China, maybe, but I'm not sure about this. But Russia does, yes. Nidish Kumar is also asking, Levan, what's happening in Bosnia now? Will it escalate again? Most likely, yes. Most likely, yes, because globalists and their allies all over Europe love to hate the leadership of Republika Srpska, which is a part of Bosnia and Herzegovina. They hate that leader of Bosnian Serbs visited leaders actually of Bosnian Serbs visited Moscow during the victory day celebrations, and unfortunately, if European governments continue attempts to neutralize Bosnian Serb leadership, this might actually reignite military phase of the confrontation there. So risk is very high, as far as I understand. So Bosnia and Herzegovina as a state is definitely on the edge, and things may go sour very, very fast there. And well, my wife is telling me that there was a rant, isn't it? Rant on Rumble. So I'm interested if chat shows me these rant messages on Rumble. Can you make screenshot so that I will read like that, please? Because here I just StreamYard not showing. StreamYard just shows me questions or comments. Sorry, dear friends, as I said, this is a test run for this double streaming or simultaneous streaming, and there was a donation on Rumble. MRS Gray, thank you very much for Mrs. Gray. Thank you very much for your donation for $5. Truly grateful, and also Bonzo Beans, thank you very much for your donation. Bonzo Beans is commenting, dedicated to your journalism friendly family for supporting your passion project, Levan. I am sure you will figure it out. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much for your comment. I will figure out how to see the super chat comments on what is the name of that StreamYard, and I will highlight these comments. Thank you very much, dear friends, for your assistance, for your help. And let's continue with the questions. This is after all, this is community chat, isn't it? So maybe I'm taking a little more time, but yet again, this is I'm not really familiar with the StreamYard yet. It will take a couple of streams, and then I will operate like like on OBS Studio that I was using before. Nikos is commenting, I see this comment several times. Also, you did not see my comment about Simeon. Watch his interviews with Mario Hanfal. He hates Russia, saying that their grandmothers were dropped by them. He is also a big EU NATO supporter. Well, I have not seen Nikos. I have not seen his interview. I have not read it. And therefore, I just don't know. Is he a Russia hater or not? Maybe he is, dear friend. I just don't have a strong opinion about this person. All I know is that Georgescu is not liked by globalists, and he was removed basically from presidential race first time. And now he's supporting this person, Simeon. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion about him, and maybe he's a Russia hater. Maybe not. Maybe he had made some strong statements in some of his interviews. I don't know. I mean, what you expect me to say? And when it comes to EU NATO supporter, yet again, I already commented on it that I don't think he is a EU supporter. I think he is more like Eurosceptic. But when it comes to NATO, I don't think even Georgescu said that he wants Romania to be pulled out of NATO. NATO is a whole different story, isn't it? So I don't expect Simeon to be, like NATO skeptic or something. He might be, but I just don't know. But when it comes to EU, I don't think he's a big EU supporter. Probably not. I don't know. Nidish Kumar is also asking, Levan, what happens to Armenia if Iran is under attack? Well, that's that's a interesting question. And if Armenia will play part in its attack on, in potential possible attack on Iran, then I think Iran will have enough forces to basically retaliate and retaliate strong, and afterwards, Armenia will risk big time, because Armenia will lose a relatively good neighbor, because surprisingly, maybe for some, but Yerevan and Tehran have quite good relationships actually, and Iran was very supportive of Armenia for decades, by the way, since the collapse of Soviet Union, basically, and always warning. Iran was always warning Azerbaijan to stay in the borders, to stay in its own borders that was established during the Soviet Union. Whenever there is escalation between Azerbaijan and Armenia, Iran is always warning Azerbaijan not to take action against Armenia, because I believe Iran sees Armenia, also Georgia, as a land bridge to Russia. But yet again, that was before US established its control over the Armenia, right? Before they managed to implement this Pashinyan's government. Now Armenia is in different situation, and I don't think Iran still sees Armenia in same light. But Armenia is risking already, by the way, very big time, isn't it? Armenia destroying relationships with Russia. Yerevan might destroy relationships with Iran, and what is left then? On one side, okay, Georgia is neutral, right? Georgia always for good relationships in with Armenia and Azerbaijan, right? But certain forces may actually destroy relationships between Armenia and Georgia also, if they want to, because there is a Samtskhe-Javakheti region where predominantly ethnic Armenians are living, and if certain forces in US, in France, in Turkey, or somewhere, maybe in Armenia itself, want to destroy relationships with Tbilisi, then they might actually do it. Unfortunately, there is ways that they might try to achieve this, and so I don't know, dear friend. Armenia is on edge really, and might even lose its statehood if it continues on current path. And who's gonna come for help, by the way, you ask? Of course, Russia. Who else? Who else? In their kitchen is commenting, I joined your Patreon just now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Truly grateful. Thank you. Banzo Beans, moderator, by the way, on our Rumble channel, is asking question from Lil Cakes. Reparations, how will Russia implement them? Reparations, you mean concessions that US has to agree upon before Russia? I mean, we are talking about for quite a while now about potential military confrontation between US, its allies, and Iran. And I think one of the reasons why US leadership is in a hurry to de-escalate this Ukrainian crisis, to pull out US from this proxy war, and to find some ways of normalizing relationships with Moscow, one of the main reasons for that, for this behavior of current administration in US is that they know that they are on a trajectory for a war with Iran. I mean, I might be wrong. I really hope I am wrong, by the way. But that's how I see big picture. There is just too many indicators that that's exactly where situation is heading, right? And if my understanding is correct, and U.S. administration obviously in that case knows perfectly well, then in certain time they're going to end up in military hostilities with Iran. Then they would like to be in a position when Russia will not seek revenge against U.S. and will not support Iran in any and every way possible to harm U.S. and U.S. interests, U.S. assets, all over the region of Middle East and elsewhere too. Because Russia definitely is in a position that if Moscow will seek revenge on the state level, it can clearly harm the U.S., right? And anyone, any other country, by the way, for that matter. And to make sure that Moscow will, at least on the state level, not seek revenge, then Washington has to agree that US was used and abused by globalists, that globalists lost this proxy war, collective West lost this proxy war, and as a compensation, US has to agree on a massive compensations for Russia. What and how this will be done, this is matter of negotiations, by the way, and not surprisingly, now at least, when we have a little bit better understanding of the situation, not Russia sent in Washington Dmitriev, right, as a special envoy, who is an expert in economical stuff. And Steve Witkoff, by the way, that was negotiating on behalf of Trump with the Russian leadership, is also from business, right? And I guess sides will find the ways how US can compensate for all the harm that was done due to US's engagement in this war. This information probably never will be public, right? But US will have to agree on the concessions before Russia, and these concessions will be immense. And most likely in investment form. Transfer of technologies, potentially investments, huge investments, right? Because US don't want Russia to seek revenge on a state level. Although, as I said in my previous updates, there always will be certain influential groups in Russia that will use any opportunity to revenge because, what US did cannot be forgiven or forgotten, right? At least on a personal level. State relationships are a bit different, right? And when you are leader of the state, your calculus is a bit different. You have no right to base your policies on emotions. But when you are in other fields, you can do basically whatever you want. And there are certain powerful groups here in Russia will always seek revenge and will use any opportunity to harm US and also UK, by the way, France, Germany, and every other country that was involved directly in this proxy war against Russia. And I think hardly anyone will have much questions about it. I mean, what you would do if against your countries was done what NATO member states did against Russia? Would you seek revenge if you were in a position to? Of course you will. You would. So, I mean, when it comes to implementation, it's hard to tell, but I'm quite sure there will be talks about concessions from US side, and sides most likely will reach some agreement. I think Moscow and Washington both sides have an understanding where situation is moving and where relationships moving, and maybe US already had agreed behind the closed doors in the talks that yes, they have to do certain things to make sure that Russia will seek no revenge on a state level at least. So I think we soon gonna see some improvement in the relationships between Moscow and the US. Maybe two countries not gonna be friendly for decades and decades to come, but at least two countries officially not gonna be enemies also. I hope my question is informative enough. If I understand your question correctly. Nidish Kumar is also commenting, yep, Iran collapses, Armenia will also. Only friend in region for Armenia is Iran. I mean, factually, Armenia almost destroyed, by the way, relationships with Russia. And maybe they will also destroy relationships with Iran. Because after all, Nidish, you tell me why US has biggest embassy in Yerevan. Before that, biggest embassy of US was, you know where? In Tbilisi, in Georgia. And they conducted a regime change, isn't it? And they put in power Saakashvili in 2003, that was, isn't it? Then they went in Armenia. They get focused more on Armenia. And now, according to reports that I see, biggest embassy of US is in Armenia. So what these hundreds of staff members of formerly embassy, in reality, God knows which secret services of US are doing there. It's obvious, isn't it? They will, they already had a huge influence on the country, and they will use Armenia any ways they would like. At least as long as they have Pashinyan in the government and he's in the circle. Also, Nikos is asking, final question, in that clown show in Albania, I spotted Kobachidze. What the hell is he doing there? Come on, Georgia, that was not an EU summit, that was a NATO summit. I loved seeing him through. Kobachidze was there, yes, this is true. I saw a video when he was chatting with the French president, Macron, for a little while. Well, this was a summit of sort of European states, right? Not EU summit, not really NATO summit, but countries that are either EU member states or part of geographical Europe. And if you ask me, Georgia is not really geographically Europe, and neither we have a mentality of similar mentality than in Europe have people. But anyways, Georgia is a part of it. I mean, it's considered to be part of Europe, also Armenia and Azerbaijan, that are even more eastwards from Europe. And I mean, this was just a political show. And once again, globalists use this arena, this stage to push anti-Russian narratives. A number of statements were made. But, well, Georgia is, using this balancing act, Georgian government, isn't it? They don't want to completely destroy relationships with the West, despite their many attempts from European or Western countries to force Georgian government to open southern front, let's say, or the second front against Russia. And so Georgian leadership knows perfectly well that these Western countries, they are not really allies or the friends of Georgia. But yet again, this is a balancing act. Economically speaking, it is, I guess, somewhat beneficial for Georgia to have some more or less okay relationships with the collective West countries, including EU, by the way. So therefore, maybe Kobachidze was not happy to be there, to see all those people that were, basically involved in this attempt to sacrifice Georgia, right, and to force Georgian government to open second front. But he has no right to base his policies on. And Kobachidze, by the way, is the prime minister of Georgia, and he has no right to put his policies on emotional basis, right? He has to do whatever is good for Georgia, and I think this is the reason, and Georgian people, by the way. So this is the reason why he was there. Just show me dear friends, let me find their commentary. I can't. I just can't. I need some time to learn how this stuff is working. Can you open this? Sorry, dear friends. Aufi, thank you very much for your donation on Rumble. Unfortunately, in a StreamYard, I'm struggling to find your comment to highlight on the stream. But truly grateful for your donation, for your generous donation. Thank you very much. I'm gonna find it, dear friends. Sorry, it will take time, but I'm gonna find this comment to highlight. It will take just a sec, dear friends, but I have to find this comment. Oh, my wife is helping me, dear friends. I mean, it's a teamwork. What we do is a teamwork, really. I mean, it is what it is. I cannot find this comment. How it's even possible, man? Where is the comment? Okay, I will find it and highlight in the next stream. And also many thanks to Banzo for support, for donation. And the comment is, Levan, whatever you hear, people having trouble setting up Rumble rant, ask them to email supporter, how you say собачка? Support at rumble.com. There is no good documentation online, and Rumble support is pretty quick. So yes, I mean, if there is any trouble with the rant, I guess Rumble support will help with that. And once again, truly grateful for Aufi for generous support of $50. Thank you very much. Hmm? Okay. Aofi is also a member of our Patreon community, our Boosty community, and Patreon, and Aofi is commenting, love your question time show with your truly supportive wife, Anna. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For now, she is a bit shy to participate more actively in the videos, but she told me that, I mean, we always have a chat, right, regularly on daily basis about this news or that news. She's like several times a day is coming to me and saying that, did you see this news or that, and we are exchanging opinions, and she always wanted to be more involved to help me. She's always helping me, by the way, all these walk and talk videos and that I do. She's always next to me, and she's make sure that her microphone is on and everything is working properly, and and we come up with this idea. We are talking about certain news anyways, right? So why should not we record this, because it's something different, isn't it? It's exchange of opinions, and we can do it whenever it's good weather. We can do it outdoors. If weather is not that good, we can do it indoors. So my hope was that our community would like this new format, and I'm happy that you find this new program interesting. Thank you very much. Dear friends, the live stream is more than longer than 1.5 hour now. So I will go through chat quickly, and if I see question, I will of course react on it. Nikos is asking, is your wife Spanish? No, Nikos, she is Spanish also. She is English, ethnically speaking. She is a Philipson Caballero, so she's English. She has English, Spanish roots, Jewish roots, Georgian roots, and I have a truly multi-ethnic, multicultural family, by the way, because I also mix. So yeah, that's how it is. And Nidish is commenting, Levan, don't worry, you will get used to it, hopefully, because this is the first time I'm streaming news program and the community chat through this platform, through StreamYard. And I guess it will take a couple of streams to really get used to it, so that then I will be much quicker. Thank you for your understanding, dear friends. I'm gonna get better in this for sure. Oh, thank you very much. IOFI, once again, Levan, you don't need to highlight me. I'm here for your news, sir. The only news worth watching. Truly grateful for your kind words, dear friends. Dear friend, truly grateful. Thank you. And thank you all, dear friends. And members of our community are thanking you for for help, for your assistance and for your work. So I'm grateful too. And so, dear friends, if I may, I will enter this live stream now. Hopefully, you find it informative and interesting. We had a good chat, isn't it? Great chat, actually. And so, well, for a test run, I hope this live stream did work. And as I said earlier, from tomorrow, dear friends, at 11 o'clock, I will make live stream. I will call it a morning news from Moscow, let's say. And after news segment, if there will be any questions through Boosty, Patreon, Rant on Rumble, or Coffee, or PayPal, I will, after news segment, I will react on it. If not, then I will end live stream on news after news segment, and I will definitely try to have these community chats on Sundays, as it's a tradition now. So hopefully it will work out. And if morning news is gonna be at 11 o'clock morning Moscow time, then at 7 o'clock in the evening, evening news from Moscow with all the latest updates on some major topics. So this is it for now. Truly grateful, dear friends, for your attention and support. Have a wonderful day and take care. Bye for now.